Hi, welcome to Philippa. She's an education consultant and an academic coach. And Philippa is based in South Africa and works alongside parents looking for alternative ways to do education. Yeah, so welcome, Philippa. If you can share your
Thank you.
expertise and your background.
Okay, thanks, Amy. And I think it's Dallas. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I love sharing space with parents who are looking for alternatives to the norm, to the traditional way of doing things. So, my background, gosh, I started off as a mainstream class teacher. I taught grade three and I taught grade two in mainstream schools. And I found it incredibly draining, emotionally and kind of academically, in that I realized I wasn't actually able to cater for every child's needs. You know, they say when you're doing your teaching qualification and you're doing your training, yes, you must try and, you mustn't just teach to the all, you must teach to the one. And that's great in theory, but in practice, we know that it's impossible in a class of 25 plus children to meet every child at where they are. And so I wanted to become a better teacher. So studied remedial, which is sort of special needs education here in South Africa. You can do a course. At that time, I was fortunate that it was a 2-year course. Now, I think you're lucky if it's 6 months that a teacher can do in special needs or in barriers to learning. So I qualified as a remedial therapist, and then I decided actually this is what I wanted to do. It really touched something in me that I really want to work one-on-one with kids. I want to get to know how they learn, how they process information. I want to know how they fit into the family, how that parent works with the child in the afternoon or whatever it was. I really wanted to be that person's coach, that child's academic coach, to enable them to give the best that they could in the classroom. And so remedial became how I set up a private practice from home. And I would see children coming to me for sort of extra lessons, but I could see that no matter how hard I tried and no matter how hard they tried, the gaps in their learning were just too great, that they would never really catch up with, one lesson a week. It just wasn't enough. There was too much delay. And so one day a parent said to me, why don't you just start a school? Why don't you just start your own school? And then my child can come to you every day. And I was like, what? You mean I could actually do that? I could actually start a school and have children coming to me for academic coaching every day? Wow. Okay. So then the cogs started turning in my brain. And one thing led to another. And yeah, we actually started a little school. I think you call them cottage schools. I don't know what we're not allowed to really have learning centers, so to speak, here in South Africa. So it was a cottage school, registered with the Department of Education, but aimed specifically at children who would otherwise not cope in your traditional mainstream schools. So it was remedial, it was one-on-one, it was personalized, it was drawing up IEPs, working alongside therapists who would come in and see the children as well during the course of the day. So it was like a one-stop shop. And parents could get support. If a parent was struggling with a child at home, they knew that they could come in and have a consultation with one of us, and we could give them strategies and things to help them at home with parenting and homework and study methods and.
More like a holistic approach, really.
It was just a community of like-minded parents looking for something different, children needing something different, and educators like me wanting to really make a difference and not just tick boxes at the end of the day. And really wanting to feel like this is where I'm meant to be. I'm not meant to be in a class of 50. I'm meant to be working in a class of maybe 8, maybe 14. But I know that I'm able to cater to different needs, neurodiversities, now that it's called neurodiversity. So that was sort of 2006, we started the school, and then basically just after the pandemic, parents started contacting me saying my child doesn't want to go back to school. Not parents at our school, but outside parents who I had built up relationships with over the past, saying my child doesn't want to go to school. What now? I can't homeschool, but my child needs to go to school. What do I do? What are the options? How long can I keep on homeschooling? And so conversations started around, okay, what are the different options? My child can sit at home and learn virtually and register with an online school, and I can just facilitate that as a parent, versus I can put my child in the car, we can go to a little learning center up the road, and my child can go there rather than go back to their traditional schooling environment. They were looking for something different. And so literally what it was parents coming to me. We look at the situation, we look at the budget, what they can afford, we look at the child, what they enjoy doing, and we match a place with that child. And it was so apparent to me that parents were now looking for something different. Parents wanted something different. Kids needed something different. They were also looking for something different because they had a taste of homeschooling, because the pandemic forced them to learn at home. But also there were more options now, where all of a sudden now there are all these virtual schools, these online schools, these learning centers. There were more choices available for parents, but they still weren't sure that what they were picking was the right one. So when parents say to me, what's the best school for my child? I always go, there's no best school. There's only the best school that is best suited to your child. There's no best school out there. It's what's good for you and your child. And it's finding that match. So it's like a matchmaker. Kids come and see me and they tell me what they love. They tell me how they learn. They tell me, what their favorite subjects are, what kind of environment they thrive in. And then it's, okay, I think this school will work for you, or this place will work for you. Go and give it a try. And so that's what we do now. That's honestly, a lot of my time is sitting with parents. We have those conversations. We look at what the child is struggling with. And it could just be, yes, a little bit of catch-up lessons in the afternoon. They're happy where they are, wherever they are. But now we're playing catch-up. Or my child is miserable, refusing to go to school, missing too many days. I need another plan. And then we make that option, make that plan happen. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's amazing. So why do you think parents consider homeschooling?
I think parents want more control. I think they've become very disillusioned with the schooling system. It's an institution that pushes through children on one end and pushes them out at the other end. And because there are more options available now, and parents are querying what else is available, they see, okay, the little primary school up the road or the high school up the road that all the other children in the neighborhood go to doesn't suit my child, so I need to find something else. So it's just about awareness. I think parents are becoming more aware that my child is different, my child needs something different. And if I try and push my child into an environment that they're not suited for, it's just going to end up causing trauma. And a lot of the time it is trauma that comes up and affects everything. If the story about taking a fish out of water, it's a mismatch. Yeah. So I think to get the best out of your child, you need to put them in the best environment with the best people who are looking after your child's best interests.
And for those parents that don't know, what are the options that are out there?
So, I'm coming from a South African context.
Yeah.
And I have a database that I often send to parents because they don't know the difference between virtual, online, cottage schools, learning centers, private schools, And really, it depends on whether you as the parent want to be solely responsible and learn alongside your child, or whether you're handing that over to someone else that you trust with your child to do that. And then whether you want something structured, that's a curriculum in a box type option, versus, oh, we're just going to learn as we go, and we're going to focus on things that my child enjoys doing, and we'll do a bit of that and a bit of this, and hopefully we'll be okay. And for some parents that works because they do okay. For other parents, it doesn't work as well because that structure isn't there, and they're constantly doubting that they're on par, that they're doing enough, that they're assessing enough, that they're putting the best, content out there for their child to work with. So the difference really, how I understand it, is you have, if you want your child to physically go to a brick and mortar building, they go to a learning center where there are tutors or facilitators or what have you, and they are either doing a curriculum that is chosen by that center, and there are, again, various ones that they subscribe to. So the child goes to that center and they're doing that particular curriculum. All right, at that learning center. Other learning centers will say, you can come to our learning center. Your child must already be on a curriculum. We don't mind which one it is, as long as they're already paying for that curriculum, and we'll just facilitate. We'll just provide the desk and the chair and the internet. And, at the end of the day, the parent is still responsible because they've already chosen their content or their curriculum. So the child is going there every day and getting that facilitation. And then when they go home, there's no homework. It's all done during the day. Versus the child is sitting at home. The parent is sitting alongside the child and doing schooling, either using books, textbooks, or PDFs online, or something, again, that they've chosen for themselves. But the home is the school. Versus home, but now I'm learning through a virtual school. It's an online school. My child is registered with those teachers. They are getting taught virtually online, and I'm not involved as the parent. Or maybe I check in every now and again, but I'm not necessarily needing to be sitting there all the time. I'm not the teacher. So the child is learning online with, hopefully, an accredited learning facility that is using, again, an accredited, approved curriculum content.
Yeah, so parents,
yeah,
it's about responsibility then as well, isn't it? It's just understanding which routes have the different responsibilities.
And also, as a parent, what do you have capacity for?
Yeah.
Do you have capacity to do that, be solely responsible for your child and homeschool your child yourself? And it's all up to you. Or versus, I'll supervise it, I'll facilitate it, but actually I want other people to be doing it with me, but at home, so I can still oversee everything and make sure that I'm happy with what my child is doing. Because again, I think parents want that control. The younger parents of today want to be involved, but they don't quite know how. So having that control takes anxiety off a parent, where I think parents today, I'm sending my child off to school. I don't know what they're doing there. I don't know who they're with. I don't know what they're being exposed to. There's all this, screen, social media, all of that. I don't want that for my child. I want to maintain the environment that I know my child is being exposed to. So there's a little bit of protectiveness if they're at home, learning at home.
Your service, then, you would help parents look at all the options, choose the right one that's right for them, their child.
And I also love to understand how the parent learned. How were you? What school did you go to? What did you not enjoy about school? What emotional scars do you have?
Yeah.
And you don't want your child going through that. So it's looking at the history. Where's this coming from? Maybe the parent was bullied. Maybe the parent had a very bad experience at school, and so they're dealing with their own emotional scars, and they just want to prevent that from, intervening with their child's education.
And that's so different for each person, it's so personalized.
Very much, very much. So it is a journey. It's walking with that parent and building up a trust relationship to say there's no right or wrong here. Whatever you choose, there's never right or wrong. It's what's right for you. And then guiding them that they don't make mistakes as well. Because, again, parents are not educators. So you know your child, but you might not know what they need to know in terms of academics, and in terms of what the minimum requirements are at the end of every grade. Which again, you as a parent, what happens if your circumstances change and now your child needs to integrate back in a school and you don't know whether your child is actually on level? Make sure that you're keeping up with the assessments, that you're doing everything right, you're building up that portfolio, you are just being aware of what your responsibilities are as the parent / educator at the end of the day, and that those lines are not blurred either, because it's also difficult then if you've been teacher all day and then now you need to be parent. So how do you marry those two responsibilities together and not jeopardize your relationship with your child at the end of the day? Because if your child doesn't enjoy learning and you're bumping heads all day about school stuff, but at the end of the day, you still want to have a good relationship with your child over the supper table, right? Or whatever it is. You don't ever, ever, ever want your relationship with your child to be jeopardized by learning, by schooling.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance.
Parent comes first. Yeah, parent first.
So what are the main barriers to learning?
Oh gosh, how long do you have? Look, if you look at our policy document, which is our white paper 6, it lists, I think, 26 different barriers to learning. And everything from outside of the child, which is how they've been brought up, the home environment, their nutrition, whether they've been exposed to educational toys and games when they were little, whether they've grown up in a home that's loving and caring, or if they're not, those are barriers. So anything that could jeopardize a child's learning ability outside of the child comes into play in terms of the external barriers to learning. Then the internal barriers is more within the child, and it's looking at things like your ADHD profiles, your autism profiles, things like dyslexia, dysgraphia, all those disses that we talk about that prevent a child's brain from learning optimally without support. Those are the most common barriers to learning, are what I just mentioned now. But also if the child is, I suppose, not quite ready to learn, that could also be something that plays a role. So you're taking a child out of the pre-primary and putting them into a grade 1 class where they're not quite ready yet. And then there are those barriers because now they're playing catch up. And there are gaps that develop, which just keep getting bigger and bigger as they go along. So it's a very wide spectrum of barriers to learning, because a classroom environment that also isn't suited to your child is a barrier. A teacher that yells and shouts or who talks too loudly could be a barrier, right? That's why all these factors are so important, that you find the right environment so that you minimize or take away as many of the barriers as possible in order for your child to just be able to be themselves and to thrive and not feel threatened or out of whack or unaccepted or unaccommodated or whatever it is.
Yeah. And quite often the focus is about the academics, and actually sometimes you just need to take a step back and look at that bigger picture, don't you, and see that there's often external barriers that are there that people haven't even thought.
Exactly. Yeah, it's to zoom out. You almost have to zoom out a bit and look from a wider aperture.
Yeah.
Instead of just looking at, my child's not reading yet, or my child isn't spelling properly, or it's It's looking at
Unpicking it all.
it from all aspects. Yeah.
You mentioned having a portfolio ready. What advice would you give to parents around sort of benchmarking and assessments? Because that can be quite daunting, I think, for, as you say, a parent who doesn't necessarily understand the education process.
Yeah, that's why I say to parents, if you don't want to doubt yourself, go with a structured curriculum where they tell you how many hours per subject per day, and make sure that you follow it, well. If you miss a day, just catch it up the next day, because it will give you that type of structure, will give you little assessments to do. At the end of the piece of work, there'll always be a little assessment that you can then gauge. Okay, my child hasn't quite grasped this yet. I need to go over it again. And usually with a structured curriculum like that, it's usually at the end of every term, there'll be little sort of class tests that they will do. And I always say to parents, collect those as evidence and put them in the portfolio, because then you've got something to look at. After term 2, you look again. After term 3, you look again. After term 4, you look again. And then if anybody asks, or if anybody from the department wants to come and check, are you doing things correctly, you can supply that portfolio. I know they're trying to insist that kids who are homeschooled are assessed by a SACE registered teacher at the end of every phase, right? So end of grade 3, grade 6, grade 9. And that's parents also, they contact me and they're so worried. They're so worried about these tests. And all it is actually it's for your own good that we do this, because then you can see your child is on par. Don't presume that they're going to be behind. If anything, they'll be more ahead, because they're with you 24/7. You're their dedicated educator. They will be probably streaks ahead of children sitting in a classroom of 30. But parents immediately start thinking, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
Right? And all it is, it's just a benchmarking exercise. It's really, your child is in grade 3. Come, let me ask him if he can read a grade 3 passage. Let's read a grade 3. Let's do some comprehension questions. There's no problem, And so it just gives everybody peace of mind, I think. It gives everybody peace of mind to just make sure that, we're doing it correctly, we're on par, my child is thriving, they're doing the work, they're getting the work right. Then there's no doubt. There's really no doubt. You can sleep easy at night saying, well, you're doing a good job, And maybe you just need an external person to tell you that, because as parents, we always doubt ourselves. Did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Have I done this? And just having an external person that can look from it objectively again, saying, yes, good job. You're on track here. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And any doubts, come to me. Let's have a check. Let's have a look. What have you done? Because of course, if kids are struggling with maths, doesn't matter whether they're sitting at home or in a classroom at school, they're going to struggle with maths. So how do we fill those gaps? How do we get them the support that they need? Or sometimes it's just a little bit of online help. There's free websites out there where they can practice maths things. There's YouTube. There's lots of places that a parent can go and get supplementary work to give their child if they are struggling with something.
Can you tell us a little bit about basic structures at home? You spoke about
again,
parents that like structure.
Yes. So I think again, take a regular school classroom timetable. I mean, you can get those online. You can Google. If you're somebody that prefers to start working a bit later in the morning, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, that's fine. But then you're going to go a little bit later, I think, and again, it's all depending on the age of the child. But if I think of the minimum number of hours that a kid should be spending doing English and maths, it's about an hour a day on English or literacy and maths, should be at least an hour a day. And then you can fill in with your content subjects. So if it's a grade 4, 5, 6, 7 child, you will have your social sciences, your natural science, your technology, your other things. So those will probably be about another 2 or 3 hours, right, of doing those subjects. And then something arty or music or drama or something more fun. So minimum, I would say 5 hours a day. If you want to do more and your child is happy to do more and you can, bring in more fun things, then sort of 6 hours a day for a grade 4, 5, 6, 7 child. For foundation phase, maybe you can get away with 5 hours or 4 hours a day. But as long as you're changing it up and they're not sitting still at a table and chair for 5 hours or 6 hours without moving. There has to be breaks to go and jump on a trampoline outside, or go and lie on the grass and look at the clouds, or go and pick flowers or something. There must be some breaks and change things up a bit so that it's you've got to use all the child's modalities.
And I think, again, that's looking at the family, isn't it, as well, and seeing, working out a rhythm that works for you as a family. It doesn't need to be done, as you say, in one go. It could be spread out over the day if that's how your family works. So
absolutely. When you go shopping, take them with you.
Yeah.
Let them help you. Give them the shopping list. Make sure they know, I'm going to go and get a packet of tomatoes. Oh, how much does it weigh? Okay, I'm getting 2 packets of tomatoes. How much is that all together? It's bringing those practical skills in to your day-to-day so that they're learning as they go. Yeah. And working with money. Take them to the shops at every opportunity, or if you're going somewhere to the bank, take them along. They must understand what banks do, how you work with the teller, what you get there, the money, changing the money, all of that. It's practical life skills that you're bringing in, which again is the benefit of homeschooling and having your children with you, is that you're exposing them to this in a more practical way, rather than, oh, let's just read about Mark going to the shop and Mark buying, it's all in the book. No, let's actually go do it and see how it works. And talking to the teller, being able to have a conversation, looking them in the eye. Oh, and can we speak a little bit of Afrikaans while we're talking to the teller? Or maybe we can say hello in, their own language or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It makes it fun, and it makes it real at the end of the day.
Well, and learning isn't just about sitting down, as you said, and doing academics and reading and tests. It's learning about the world around us, isn't it? And us as human beings, and where we fit into all of that. Thank you very much for the nuggets of advice that you've given, and I think the reassurance as well. I think a lot of parents that will listen to this and will be able to resonate with it. And we will tag your website in for people to go and have a look. But is there anything you wanted to end with regards to the services that you offer to people and how people can get in touch with you?
I think through the website is the easiest. And knowing, I think parents mustn't be scared, mustn't be scared to reach out, because sometimes I think they feel that they're reaching out, they're admitting that there's a problem, or they're admitting that they failed, or that they're doing something wrong. But it's all about just reassurance. That you are on the right track. I think parents doubt themselves, and they're so scared to make a mistake. So they're almost fearful of trying something different, because what if it doesn't work out, or what if it's wrong, or what if I failed? So the first step is, if you have any doubt in your mind, is just to reach out and have somebody that can reassure you, to say, try this, or are you doing this, or what is keeping you up at night? What is the thing that you're worrying about? Because as soon as you share that with someone else, you feel like it's halved. The problem is halved because I've just voiced it now.
Yeah.
So I really think that it's about making that first move. I think if parents, or if a mom is worrying about falling behind or not doing something, not doing something right, is just to have somebody to say, you're on the right track. Keep going. You're doing a good job. and we're here to help. That's the first thing I think is just try, don't be scared, and keep patting yourself on the back, because any parent who decides to do something different is brave. And they're already, their child is already at an advantage because they've looked for something different. So well done to those moms. I applaud you. You're doing a great job. Great job.
Thank you so much, Philippa, for joining us today. It was so lovely to chat with you.
Pleasure, ladies.
Thank
Always
you
a
very
pleasure.
much.